And joining us is the anchor of the most watched Spanish language newscast, Maria Elena Salinas. She co-hosts Univision's nightly newscast with Jorge Ramos. Welcome, so nice to see you.
It's great to see you too, Katie.
So how would you describe what's happening in this country regarding the Latino explosion, which seems to be everywhere?
Right. Well, I think Latinos are changing the face of this country, and they have been for a long, long time. I've been working in Spanish language media for a long time, and I have noticed a tremendous change. When I started working in Channel 34 in Los Angeles, there were 14 million Hispanics. Now there are 52 million Hispanics. Back then, Spanish language media was very young. Most people saw it as low-quality, low-power stations that no one watched except recently arrived immigrants. And now we directly compete, with ABC, CBS, and NBC. I think Spanish language media and the Hispanic community has grown tremendously. Buying power of over $1 trillion. You have a very powerfully political community. As you know, the last election, Hispanics, you can say they basically gave President Obama the re-election.
Now it seems like they're the most popular ethnic group around because everyone is courting the Hispanic vote. Who is more successful at that? Right now, Democrats seem to be doing better among Hispanic voters, although they're not monolithic, of course.
No, they're not. And yes, they are doing better. And you can see that in the polls, and polls that are done specifically on Hispanic voters. And you can see that even though they might agree with Republicans on some economic issues, there's one issue that is driving the Latino vote, and that is the issue of immigration. And I think that's what they have failed to see.
And you interviewed President Obama. You pressed him to tell you exactly when immigration reform would take place.
Exactly.
Let's listen.
Will we have immigration reform by the end of this year?
I believe so.
You can tell our audience, si se puede.
Si se puede. But I want to remind the audience, because, Maria Elena, we've had this conversation for many, many years. The only way this is going to get done is if the Republicans continue to work with Democrats in Congress, in both chambers, in order to get a bill to my desk.
What Latinos want to know is, do you care about our issues? And if by supporting immigration reform and changing the rhetoric into something more positive and acknowledging the contributions of Latinos and immigrants to this country, it's definitely going to help. It helped President George W. Bush when he ran for president. Just a few words in Spanish, and it helped him a lot.
I need to learn how to speak Spanish, I
Te
think.
enseño cuando quieras.
Yeah, sí. Anyway, what about, not unlike Sonia Sotomayor, you're the daughter of immigrants, and you grew up in a fairly impoverished situation. How did this inform your life experiences and really make you the tremendous success you are?
I think when you are born without the privileges, you work harder for them. And it's not only education, but it's that will that you have, what we call it in Spanish ganas, which is the desire to get ahead, because you want to make things different for your own children. And that's one of the things that helps. And also, you know, coming from immigrant family gives you a very, very strong work ethic, which is something that I gained from my family and that I know Sonia Sotomayor also gained from her family.
Well, we're going to be talking about that more in just a moment with two other Latino stars, America Ferrera and Carlos Mencia are here. We'll chat more about the Latin explosion right after this. Welcome back. Of course, we all know actress America Ferrera from her role on the hit show Ugly Betty, and comedian and actor Carlos Mencia is here along with Univision anchor Maria Elena Salinas. Thank you all for being here. Nice to see you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. You know, so we've been talking about the fact that demographics in this country are changing dramatically. By 2050, the minorities will be the majority and Hispanics will be the biggest subset of that minority population. What do you think about sort of the Latin explosion that we've been talking about, America, that we're witnessing in this country?
Well, yeah, I think it's finally coming to people's attention. I think of it a little bit more as like the cup is overflowing now. It's been happening for a while.
Right.
A little less of an explosion, more of a build to where we are. And, you know, and for my part, I started doing work with the organization Vote to Latino early last year to really work on the ground with Latino communities in a nonpartisan way to get engagement and to get them to show up and use the political potential that lies in our community. And, you know, to all of our excitement, they showed up. We showed up, and now I think we have a huge obligation as a community to really learn to hone our voices and learn how to use our voices.
What do you think, Carlos, is the biggest misconception? You know, we talk about Hispanics in this country, and what do you think people don't really understand about the community? Is it there a lot of different communities within the so-called community, or?
I would say that most people don't get that we're not all recent immigrants. You know, we're all kind of put together as the guy or the woman that just came here. So it's either the person who picks your fruit or your salad, or, you know, the knock on the door of the housekeeping. I think that it's come to people's attention, and this is unifying us in a very different way, because I was born in Honduras. She's of Honduran descent. She's of Mexican descent. You know, you have the Puerto Ricans, the Dominicans, and they're all subsets of one culture.
Right.
So we've kind of been fighting amongst each other to see who is the highest on the totem pole of Latinos.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Is there a lot of competition and a real pecking order among sort of various...
Well, nobody wants to be at the bottom. Nobody wants to be at the bottom.
65% are Mexican Americans.
There you go. So, see? So
And how about Puerto
high-
Ricans, Sonia Sotomayor, and then
Right.
Central Americans.
Yeah, exactly. So when I was a kid and I dated this Mexican girl, everything was cool. And then when her dad found out that I was Honduran, he was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Whoa!" And I was legal, and he didn't have papers, and I was like, "Wait a minute, man!" That's, you know.
So do Mexicans look
Yeah.
down on Hondurans?
No, I don't
No,
think so at
no.
all.
Would
You know,
not
things are, no, that's not true.
It's a big generalization.
Yeah, once you cross the border, I think we're Americans.
Would
We're
it
just
be better
hyphenated
to
Americans.
refer to you all as Hispanic Americans?
We
I
are
don't know what
Hispanic
the label
Americans.
is. I don't, because I remember when I was younger, I was performing at a college, and this group called Mecha, which I don't even know what the acronym is for, and I said Latinos, and they said, "We're not Latin." And then I said Chicano. They said, "Well, we're not of Mexican descent." And I said, I don't know what to say. Hispanic, and there's no such country as Hispania. And I was like, well, how am I supposed to describe us? And then I said, all right, everybody who eats beans. And everybody clapped, and I went, fine. It was like, I didn't, you know, it has affected our ability to unify and to be a cohesive unit. Whereas to what's great about what's happening now, it's not coming from us. It's not really us saying, hey, look, world, we're important. It's the media and Madison, you know, Avenue saying, hey, these guys are buying a lot of products. We got to go to them.
Exactly.
These guys watch TV. We got to go to them. These guys vote.
I would say,
we gotta
except
go to
though,
them.
that a big part of the media taking note and Congress taking note and the president
Yeah.
taking note is us showing up for ourselves. Us
Yeah.
showing up at the polls is exactly why these issues are being discussed in Congress
That
now.
is true.
So it's us showing up for ourselves, and then other people taking note. Oh, they're here. They have a voice. They're using their voice, and now we must pay attention. And
Yeah.
something that I would agree with is just that, you know, there is no label for what a Latino experience is. Each
Right.
of us have had very different experiences of our culture. You know, I grew up in Los Angeles. I never even set foot on Honduran soil until last year. I was 27 years old. So somebody telling me to go back to my country doesn't even make any sense to me, because I never even knew my country until I was 27 years old. Where some people grow up going back and forth to their parents' country. I mean, our cultural experience are so diverse and so vast, and our experience with our language, with our culture, with our, you know, how our parents choose to keep roots in our culture, in our household, is so unique and diverse that you can't begin to try and find a label that's going to apply across the board to Latinos in America.
When we come back, we'll talk about Latino humor. I'm sure Carlos has some things to say about that. That's right after this.
My dad doesn't play games. He's just an honest guy. You know what I mean? First of all, my dad was born in Honduras, orphaned at the age of 4, okay? The man worked for money since he was 6. The dude didn't wear shoes till he was 12. He immigrated to America, moved all his family, us, to East LA, where all the Mexicans treated us like crap because they would say, and I quote, "Hey, you're from farther."
That was Carlos Mencia in his Comedy Central special, New Territory. He's here with America Ferrera and Maria Elena Salinas. There are 18 kids in your family, by the way?
Yeah, I'm the 17th of 18 kids.
Holy smokes. Your
Yeah.
mom, bless her.
She was so angry when Octomom got a TV show. And people, you know, all these people started getting TV shows, and my mom was just like, where's my show? There's no camera, no money, what happened to me? And
I think she
like,
deserves one.
I agree. She's an amazing woman. That being said, you know, my parents are immigrants, and they had kids because as soon as we became of age, we all worked. Like, I've worked since I was probably 12. So we all chipped in as a family, you know, we from the moment we could. It was never, you know, we never sacrificed education. It was never that, but it was always, you know, go cut grass and make $5. And when I come home with $5, you know, my mom would be like, hey, give me 2. You know, that's mine. I fed you, like, you got to give back to the family. So
What about the entertainment opportunities for you all? Do you feel like that things have been opening up in recent years in a way they hadn't been, say, even 20 years ago?
hugely. Listen.
Is that a yes?
When I was a kid, I remember that every TV show that had that, you know, whether it was Starsky and Hutch or Beretta, they had one episode every year or so with a Hispanic kind of a story, and it was always like the knock on the door and the lady going, "Ay, no si nati, señor," and then and the cop would be like, "We're gonna call immigration. It was Bobby. He lives right there. Don't tell him." And, whereas to today, you know, when I turn on the television and watch those shows, there's always a Latin face.
In fact, America, you play in Ugly Betty, sort of what many people say is a very true Latina experience. And you also tackled a lot of tough issues. We have a clip from one of your shows, and we're going to look at it and talk about it afterwards.
Okay.
You help them meet their quota.
What are you talking about?
I mean, they picked you, Betty Suarez of Queens, because you're Latina.
You have said a lot of really ugly things to me in the past, but that is by far and away the ugliest.
Have you ever faced a situation like we just showed in the clip where someone is resentful and feels like you got a certain place purely because of your heritage?
No, I personally have not had that experience. I think for myself, it's something I've thought about in terms of, you know, yeah, certainly the first role I got in acting, they were looking for a Latina girl. And in fact, all of the reasons why people said you'll never make it as an actress were the very reasons why I was able to get my breakthrough roles. And so to embrace what was unique and different about me and say, this is what they're looking for, and for once I fit that bill, I'm going to embrace that. Yeah. I'm not going to shy away from that or say, oh no, I want everyone to accept me generally and pretend like I don't look like what I look like, or that my last name is, you know, Ferreira. I think it's about embracing what makes us different and diverse, and not being afraid of facing reality and saying, yes, we need to open more doors on purpose in the places where there aren't enough doors for people.
What would you say to people who feel uncomfortable and nervous about the changing demographics in this country, about people who feel like, gee, this is threatening the status quo? I mean, certainly this is not a big shock to you. There are some people who are nervous about sort of minorities becoming the majority in this country.
That's true, but one thing you have to remember is that, like they say in the Southwest, we didn't cross the border crossed us. Hispanics were here before the Mayflower. Hispanics were here before Jonestown. So, you know, Latinos have roots, very deep roots in this country, and they have had for a long time.
For me personally, it's that, especially as an immigrant, and I speak for the majority of immigrants that I know, we came to this country to give, not to take, to work, to be successful, to pay taxes. You know, the one biggest fallacy about immigrants that I hear is that they want to come here and not work. I don't know one person, not one, that ever said, I want to go to America to be on welfare, or I want to go to America to be at home and not work. Everybody I know said, I want to go to America, I want to make money, I want to send some money back to my family, but none of them wanted to feed off of it. We all want want to give to this country.
I mean, we're just people. We want all the same things everybody else wants. We want to feel useful, we want to feel valuable, we want to be educated, we want to be safe, we want a good future for our kids, and we want to feel embraced in the culture, in the country that we live in. You know, why would we, as a country, deny ourselves this rich and valuable resource?
Well said. America, Carlos, Maria. Thank you all so much. It's really fun to talk about things like this because I think talking leads to better understanding and you know, I don't think we should shy away from topics like this. And when we come back, it's your turn. We're going to hear what you had to say about some of our recent shows. That's right after this.